Hello, welcome back to Cheese Kitchen. Today we are going to be making one of my family's favorite dishes. It's called Thịt. Translated in English as minced pork. It's a dish that you eat with rice. To give you a little bit of history, it is considered like a peasant village poor man's dish. It's not something you would ever find in a restaurant, and you would never get served at a party or a celebration because it's such a poor man's dish. No one would ever serve it at a party or celebration. So only at a home cooked meal would you ever find it. My son loves it. He even learned how to make it. My brother requested I make a video for this dish. So it's a family favorite. So let's get started. All right, so the ingredients that you will need is ground pork. Right here, you need a pound of ground pork. This will make a family meal of about 4 people. If you don't eat a lot, maybe 5 or 6. A family of 4 is good. So I want to give you some alternative to pork. Not everybody likes pork or could eat pork due to their religious beliefs or dietary needs. This dish is very versatile. You can make it with a different kind of meat. You could use ground turkey or ground chicken, and it pretty much tastes very similar. But that way, at least it gives you an option if you'd like to eat this dish but prefer not to eat pork, okay? Alrighty, let's get started. You will need a medium-sized to small to medium-sized yellow onion. You will need 3 garlic cloves. I like a lot of garlic, so I'm gonna do 4, but 3 is probably sufficient. You also need some sugar. You need some fish sauce, okay? This brand of fish sauce I like to use because it's lower in sodium content, but you can use pretty much any kind of fish sauce. I also use oyster sauce, and you can use any brand as well. This is the brand that I like. Then you need thick soy sauce. Let me show you what that looks like. Thick soy sauce is used mainly for coloring. It doesn't have as much sodium content. It's not very salty at all. It is there to change the color of the meat to make it look prettier. Then you need black pepper, and a little bit of oil. So let's get started. First, this is a dish that you can't eat by itself. You have to make it with rice. So I've already got rice cooking in the rice cooker, ready to go. Let's get started making some minced pork. Let's talk equipment for a bit. So the skillet that I'm going to be using is this to cook the minced pork in. All right, so let's get our garlic started. So garlic has this skin, it's kind of difficult to peel. So what I do to get it to come off easier is I use a mortar and pestle just to crush it gently. When I crush it, the skin will just fall off. So let's take a look. So all I did was do a little tap. As you can see here, the skin's falling right off. Right there. Okay, let's try another one. Pretty slick, huh? Now that I have all of my garlic peeled, I'm going to mince it. And that means I'm going to cut it up very small. All right, let's chop up our garlic to be very small. So first, I just slice them into these little roundish shapes. As you can see, the size here, it's pretty large. So we're going to mince it by just chopping it up to very smaller pieces. This is exactly what we want. This is called minced garlic. Now we are going to dice the onion. That means cut it into small chunks as well. Let's remove the skin first. We don't eat that. Now what I like to do is cut the onion in half first. And then what I do is I put it flat down and I'm going to cut it slice by slice. But before I do that, I'm going to make some vertical cuts like this. And then I hold it all together and I'm going to slice it this way. This is still larger than what we want, so I'm going to cut it down even smaller. This is about the right size that we want. Let's do the other half of the onion. So our onion is now all chopped up. Okay, so let's get started. We are now ready to start cooking. What you want to do is turn on your heat to about medium. And then pour in some oil. And then just wait for the oil to heat up. It should take about 2 to 3 minutes or so. All right, I think our oil is hot. So first I'm going to do is add the garlic. You can tell the oil is definitely ready because it's sizzling. This step is crucial. The oil is going to interact with the garlic and bring out the aroma of the garlic. So this is a crucial step. We do not want to skip this. Let me lower the heat just a tad. And we're going to add the onions. What you want to do is just kind of push the onions around to get it to cook as well. Another important crucial step is we want the hot oil to interact with the onions, and it brings out the aroma of the onion. So you can see the onion is starting to soften. Smells delicious. Okay, next we're going to add the meat. I use a spatula to do this, to kind of like separate it, to get it to be not in such big chunks. Because we want this to be minced meat, so it's in small little crumbles. Okay, now let's mix in the garlic and the onions together. Pork, when it starts to cook, it starts to turn whitish gray, as you can see here. The pink color starts to turn to gray. All right, this is where we start to season the meat. I'm going to add a little bit of fish sauce. Oyster sauce. I'm going to blend in the seasoning with the meat a little bit. Although the meat is looking dark, that's from the seasoning, from the oyster sauce. This does not mean it's cooked. Okay, the meat is still very raw. It's actually still very pink. You'll know when pork is cooked through, when it turns hard and gray. Right now it's very soft. I'm just gonna let it cook for a little bit. I don't want to wait and add ingredients when it's fully cooked. So I'm going to add the sugar right now. Something just to know about Asian cooking is when we season the food, we want to season them when the meat is still raw, not completely cooked. That's when all the flavors of the seasoning blend in really well and it soaks into the meat better. What you'll also notice when the meat starts to get cooked more thoroughly is when it starts to release juice. Okay, right now the skillet's pretty dry, as you can see. But when it starts to look like there's some kind of liquid, the meat is starting to get cooked, because you can see juice is collecting around the edges here. You can see the liquid there. Okay, this is when I start putting in thick soy sauce to make the color of the meat darker, because right now it's kind of a light brown tone. So what I do, you don't need a lot of thick soy sauce at all. All you need is, what I do is I dip a fork into here very slightly and just kind of drizzle it all over the pork. So I stick a clean fork in here and then just drizzle. You don't need a lot to make the meat turn dark. It kind of gives it a reddish brown tone, makes it much prettier. And there isn't a lot of salty taste. You're not really changing the flavor of the dish at all. A lot of the juice has evaporated, it's been reduced. That's what we want. And I'm waiting for it to dry up even more. What will happen is the edges of these meat pieces will become seared around the edges to give it that nice little kind of crunchy, crispy texture. Okay? Now, not everybody likes that. I do. So I'm gonna wait and let it get seared around the edges, a little crunchy. If you don't like it and you like yours soft, then you can stop cooking now, because this is cooked. But I'm gonna wait a little bit more. Looks like our minced pork is done. As you can see, some of these pieces, they're kind of seared, crunchy along the edges. That's just how I like to eat it. It is ready. Let's have some with some rice. So this is where the black pepper comes in. I'm going to be sprinkling some black pepper on top of this when we serve it. This gives it a nice aroma and a little bit of a kick. So in terms of how we eat this dish, you can eat it in several ways. You can eat it plain like this with just rice, sprinkle in some sriracha or dried chili peppers, or just plain. But what I like to do is add a little bit of vegetable, which is fresh cucumbers. Slice into little pieces. It goes really well with this dish. I hope you've enjoyed making minced pork with me. Bon appetit.